It never looks quite right when a legendary player changes uniforms and joins a new team. Sometimes it can be cool to see, but we all associate that player with one specific franchise. A lot of the time, these players are moving on because they're at the latter end of their career, and maybe they're even going to serve as backups, so we may not even remember they moved to a new team at all. Well, this is what I want to get into today. Now get set, because this will be part one of a new series where I'll be diving into all the star players that you may have forgotten played for another team. Joe Montana is the original Tom Brady, winning 4 Super Bowls wearing his iconic number 16 jersey for the San Francisco 49ers. But like Brady, Montana finished his career with another team instead of playing it out in the same uniform you're used to seeing him in. As Montana grew older and faced some injuries, the 49ers brought in rising star Steve Young to act as his backup and eventually take over. But when the Niners decided they were done with Montana, he wasn't quite done playing yet. Die-hard fans will remember this, but in 1993, Montana moved on and spent 2 seasons playing in Kansas City with the Chiefs, and he even deviated from his classic number 16 jersey and switched to number 19, his old high school number. He led the Chiefs to an AFC Championship appearance but fell short, and after an injury-riddled season in 1994, he officially retired. It was cool seeing Montana rock another team's uniform, but seeing this legend wear number 19 for the Chiefs was just a little odd. Jerry Rice wasn't just Joe Montana's favorite target. He's one of the greatest football players of all time, winning 3 Super Bowl rings and making 12 Pro Bowl appearances while playing for the 49ers from 1985 to 2000. But he actually played 5 more seasons with 3 other teams. Most people remember his successful 4-year stint with the Raiders from 2001 to 04, where he made another Pro Bowl and a Super Bowl appearance. But a lot of people forget that following this, he also had short stints with both the Seahawks and the Broncos. He only spent a little over half a season in Seattle in 04, hauling in 3 TD passes before joining the Broncos for a preseason in 2005, where he actually wore number 19. In my opinion, it was interesting to see Rice in these different team uniforms, but it just didn't look right. Johnny Unitas is one of the most iconic quarterbacks in NFL history. Rocking his signature number 19, he was the Colts' original Peyton Manning, winning 3 MVPs, 3 NFL championships, and 1 Super Bowl while playing for the then Baltimore Colts. Despite playing with the Colts from 1956 until 1972, he didn't retire with the team, and I'm sure some people remember that he actually ended his career playing 1 season out west with the San Diego Chargers. But by then, he was 40 years old and way past his prime. But what not a lot of people know is that he didn't actually start his career with the Colts. Instead, he was drafted in the 9th round by his hometown Pittsburgh Steelers in 1955. But crazy enough, he was actually released before the start of the season because the Steelers coach didn't think he was smart enough to play QB in the pros. So, Unitas worked a job in construction before getting his chance with the Colts in 1956 and eventually proving the Steelers coach way wrong. To this day, Joe Namath is probably the most famous New York Jet of all time, and his nickname, Broadway Joe, shows just how big of a deal he was in New York. Namath famously guaranteed a win in Super Bowl III for the franchise's only Super Bowl victory, and despite having a memorable 12-year career with the Jets, he was released by the team before 1977. By then, he'd been dabbling in acting, so he chose to head to Hollywood and signed with the Los Angeles Rams. His lone season in LA was an easy one to forget, as he was riddled with injuries and only appeared in 4 games before retiring. When you hear the name Joe Namath, you think New York Jets, so seeing him wear a Rams uniform just looked unnatural. Bruce Smith was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and 11-time Pro Bowler with the Buffalo Bills from 1985 to 1999, and he managed to make both the 1980s and 90s All-Decade teams. When you hear Bruce Smith's name, you most likely think of him with the classic red Bills helmet going to 4 straight Super Bowls in the early 90s. But after the 1999 season, the Bills released him, and he ended up signing with the Washington Redskins, where he played 4 more years in the maroon and yellow. Smith was productive in Washington, but watching him become the first player in league history to record 200 career sacks while wearing a Redskins uniform didn't feel quite right. Mike Webster is often recognized as the greatest center in NFL history, and he's a Pittsburgh Steelers legend, playing with them from 1974 through 1988. He won 4 Super Bowls in the Steel City while also earning 9 Pro Bowl nods. But Webster didn't finish his 17-year career in Pittsburgh, as he actually spent his final 2 seasons playing for the Kansas City Chiefs from 1989 to 1990. He even switched from his trademark number 52 to number 53, and it's really strange seeing him in a uniform other than the Steelers. Drew Brees is the face of the New Orleans Saints even to this day, but he didn't start his Hall of Fame caliber career in New Orleans. Before rocking the black and gold, he was wearing blue and yellow playing for the San Diego Chargers. In San Diego, he was a Pro Bowl QB, but after some inconsistent play and a career-threatening shoulder injury, the team decided to bring in rookie star Phillip Rivers and essentially pushed Brees out. This led to him signing with New Orleans, and the rest is history. Besides Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett was probably the most popular Dallas Cowboy of the 1970s and 80s while leading the Cowboys' backfield and helping them claim a Super Bowl victory. But after 11 years in Dallas and becoming the franchise's all-time leading rusher, Dorsett was traded to the Denver Broncos, where he spent the final year of his career in 1988. He actually played reasonably well for his role, rushing for over 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. And although it was cool seeing him wear those baby blue helmets and orange jerseys, Tony Dorsett only looks like himself when he has a star on his helmet. James Harrison is easily one of the most feared players in league history, and he spent the majority of his career suiting up with the Pittsburgh Steelers, earning 2 Super Bowl rings, winning Defensive Player of the Year, and making 5 Pro Bowls in the Steel City. But after his initial stint with the Steelers from 2002 to 2003, Harrison signed with the Ravens but was actually delegated to NFL Europe with the Rain Fire before Baltimore released him. He then rejoined the Steelers for the next 9 seasons before signing with the Bengals for 1 year, then returning back to Pittsburgh for 2.5 more seasons. However, he actually closed his career out playing with the Patriots during their Super Bowl run in 2017, though they went on to lose to the Eagles. Marshall Faulk revolutionized the running back position in the NFL with his shifty run style and ability to produce as a receiver. He's most famous for his time in St. Louis when he started for the Rams and helped lead them to a Super Bowl victory as a key member of the Greatest Show on Turf and even earned league MVP honors. But some people forget that before Faulk joined the Rams, he was an all-pro player with the Indianapolis Colts from 1994 until 1998, where he won Rookie of the Year and made 4 Pro Bowls. And even though he never played for any of these teams, Faulk did a photo shoot prior to the 1994 NFL Draft that showed him in a variety of other teams' uniforms, which included the Buccaneers, Patriots, Bengals, and Bears. And honestly, it's strange seeing him in any uniform besides the Rams. Brett Favre is remembered for his long career with the Green Bay Packers, where he won a Super Bowl and 3 straight NFL MVPs. People also probably remember him playing with the rival of his former team when he played 2 seasons with the Vikings, leading them all the way to an NFC Championship game. But it's often forgotten that Favre actually started his career playing 1 season with the Atlanta Falcons back in 1991. Then, after 16 seasons in Green Bay and a false retirement, he joined the New York Jets for 1 forgettable year in 2008. Favre in a Falcons or Jets uniform just seems off. Edgerrin James is one of the NFL's all-time leading rushers and is most notable for standing next to Peyton Manning in the Colts backfield. He was a superstar in Indianapolis, rushing for over 1,500 yards 4 times while with the Colts and setting multiple franchise records. But after some contract negotiations, James left the Colts to play for the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of people probably remember his 3 years in Arizona when he had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons, but not everyone remembers that he spent his final year with the Seahawks in 2009, where he only had 125 yards rushing on a career-low 43 carries. And looking back, it almost seems like a weird dream seeing James in a Seahawks uniform. Priest Holmes is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's most remembered for his time with the Chiefs from 2001 until 2007, and from 01 to 03, he had arguably the greatest 3-year stretch a running back has ever seen, totaling 61 touchdowns and 6,500 scrimmage yards over that stretch. While in KC, he won Offensive Player of the Year, led the league in scoring and rushing yards once, and rushing TDs twice, while also making 3 consecutive Pro Bowls. But what people don't always remember is that Holmes actually started his career off playing with the Baltimore Ravens, where he spent 4 years from 1997 until 2000, where he even wore number 33 instead of his famous number 31. He did even earn a Super Bowl ring during his final year in Baltimore, but at the end of the day, Priest Holmes only looks right in a Chiefs jersey. Warren Moon is most recognizable in his Houston Oilers uniform, but before he became a 9-time Pro Bowler in the NFL, he actually started his pro career playing 6 seasons in the CFL with the Edmonton Eskimos, where he won 5 Grey Cup championships. He then finally came to the NFL and played 10 years in Houston with the Oilers, where he was nothing short of productive. After his decade with the Oilers that earned him a place in the Hall of Fame, Moon moved on and had 3 highly productive seasons with the Vikings and 2 more with the Seahawks through the late 90s, earning Pro Bowl nods with both teams. But what many people often forget are that his final 2 years were spent in a backup role with the Chiefs. Similar to when Joe Montana joined Kansas City, seeing Moon wear the bright red helmet instead of the white Oilers or even purple Vikings helmet just doesn't look natural. Dwight Freeney was consistently one of the best D linemen in the league while playing with the Colts from 2002 to 2012. He helped the team win a Super Bowl and made 7 Pro Bowls while in Indy. But after the 2012 season, the Colts chose not to re-sign him, so the All-Pro defender spent the next 5 years bouncing around the league playing for 5 different teams. He spent 2 years with the Chargers, 1 with the Cardinals, where he even switched from his typical number 93 to number 54, which he wore in college. Freeney then spent 1 year with the Falcons, where he actually made another Super Bowl appearance, and then he split the 2017 season between the Seahawks and the Lions. Ricky Williams was one of the most recognizable players in the NFL in the early 2000s when he was playing in Miami with his signature hairstyle and dark visor while wearing the Dolphins' green, white, and orange uniforms. But some remember he actually started his career off with the Saints, where he played for 3 years. However, it's easy to forget that he did also spend 1 year in the CFL with the Toronto Argonauts after being suspended from the NFL for marijuana use. Williams did return to the Dolphins, but he didn't end his career in Miami. Instead, he signed with the Ravens for 1 year in 2011, and even though it was pretty cool seeing him wear that tinted visor in the intimidating Ravens black color scheme, when we picture Ricky Williams, he's wearing a Dolphins uniform. Earl Campbell is one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, and when you picture him, an image of him wearing that beautiful baby blue, white, and red Oilers uniform comes to mind. But many people forget that he closed his career out with 2 underwhelming seasons with the Saints in 1984 and 85. In New Orleans, he served as a backup to fellow Heisman winner George Rogers. Campbell put up a little over 800 yards and 1 touchdown with the Saints, and it's definitely a little weird seeing him wearing black and gold. Brian Dawkins, aka Weapon X, is a Philadelphia Eagles legend who was one of the most intimidating players in the league when he was rocking the Eagles' midnight green uniforms with his black visor. But after spending 13 years in Philly, he ended his career playing in Denver with the Broncos. He actually played great in Denver, making 2 Pro Bowls in his 3-year stint there. But when you envision Brian Dawkins, you don't think of him in a dark blue Broncos uniform. You picture him in Eagles green. And that will wrap up part 1 of this series. What did you think of seeing these NFL stars wearing another team's uniform? Comment your thoughts, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you know when part 2 comes out. But until then, get set because I'll have another video coming soon.